Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for The Bear, Season 2, Episode 9, titled Omelette. Who wants an omelet after what you saw there? Like, come on.
Oh my goodness, this just should have been titled The Carmy and Sydney Table Show. Oh my goodness, their friendship just like gets me every single time. Like they've had like a kind of a tough journey this season
Mhm.
together where Carmy's been really distracted and that was a big theme of this episode, but it was so good to see them come together, have that talk in a way where they're just like, I can't do this without you. I can't do this without you. I was just like, oh my God, their friendship. I can't with their friendship.
It was really emotional, and I think it's a real testament to this idea that you've been working so hard for months to turn this restaurant into something, and you're actually there. You're at this moment where you're gonna get this payoff, but you also, and they explain it really well in this episode,
Mhm.
you don't know if this is actually going to be successful. Like, it could be a total flop. You could end up making millions. Like, restaurants are a very tough business, but
Oh yeah, I mean that scene where we knew that Sydney was already so nervous and
yeah,
she walked by the restaurant where we saw her earlier this season like traveling around by herself
yeah.
while Carmi was off with Claire, and she one of the places she stopped at and one of the chefs that she spoke to gone.
Yeah, like this is the reality of this world. And that's why there is something so pure about the two of them in this episode, because it's basically this is the end of this chapter and we're going into this great unknown together. We can be
Yeah.
as happy and as optimistic as we possibly can, but we have no idea. We're entering friends and family night. Like, this is the best sort of test we're going to get, in that these are people who we know, who we
Mhm.
love,
Yeah.
who will hopefully still be honest, who are also hopefully not going to have a complete and total meltdown by the end of the night. We'll get more into
Ooh,
that.
yeah, we will.
All right, but before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because we still have more to go on The Bear Season 2. Like, this episode is basically all a setup for the finale. We're going to be discussing that, and of course, Season 3 as well. And by subscribing, you help us to be able to make more videos like this that we love to do so much.
Okay, you have mentioned friends and family. So we
Yeah.
have not seen the finale, obviously, at the time
Mhm.
of recording this. I don't know anything about the finale. I've like purposefully stayed away from
Me
spoilers.
too.
So one of the questions that we've had after seeing Carmi's mom is Carmi's mom alive? And in
Yeah.
this episode, it's revealed that yes, she is alive, because I was just like, last time we saw her, she crashed her car through her living room, and Carmi's been back for quite a while now, and there has been sort of like this, oh, you should see mom, but like see mom at her grave or like she's alive. Like
Mhm.
she had come across as someone who would have been like blowing up his phone, showing up at the shop, showing up at his house, like, but she has been nowhere. So I'm kind of like, what has been going on with that? It's now confirmed. Sugar was like, I invited mom. So mom is still there. Mom gonna show up or mom not gonna show up? What do you think?
I think mom's going to show up. I
Oh
think
man, I hope mom shows up.
well, for one, it's going to be juicier from a drama point of view that this
Yeah, that's
happens.
why.
But like, two, I really feel like they're going to try to pay off everything that happened in that Christmas catastrophe. Like, they want to present another side of it. I think they want viewers to also see, how is she doing now? And they made
Yeah.
this interesting point in this episode that this was really more for Sugar than it was for Carmy that she shows up. But is this just something that Carmy is telling himself? Because I think it's probably easier for him anyway to compartmentalize and not think too much about this. Because if he does, he's not going to be able to keep going. I think he is trying to
Mhm.
pay sort of homage to his past and what he's gone through in his cooking in a number of different ways. Like, we've seen some of this within the menu. Like, there's already been talk about like 7 fishes in the menu, and it's just like,
Mhm.
how are you going to do that at a restaurant? Like, that's a lot of work. I understand that this is a very high end restaurant and they're trying to do everything under the sun, but it really feels like that is sort of Carmi's way of reconciling with the past, but most people don't work like Carmy, and that's where things kind of get tricky.
But what is beautiful about that is even though a lot of the dishes are stuff that he's battling with his past, he has such support from the people that are there. Like when Marcus pulled out that cannoli and was like, this is a little bit of everybody here. And we know how important that is to Carmy's past. And that he's like, and it's called the Michael. I just about like,
Yeah.
fell out of my chair. I was like, how touching, how caring, how much support Carmy has in this restaurant that it doesn't have to be as stressful and as bad as some of his past experiences working at, in different restaurants and being a chef. Like we've seen that he's had some very bad
Yeah.
experiences that have had him on the edge all the time. He's very, very stressed. And then in this restaurant, this is his that was, left by his brother to be like, let it rip. This is for you. You can do this. I believe in you. Like, and now he's got staff around him like Marcus that's like, I made a cannoli, little bit of all of us called the Michael. Like, I think Carmy's really understanding that the people that are there are not there just because they want a job or they just want to better themselves. They not only believe in this restaurant, but they really believe in him, his family, and what he stands for.
There's a real warmth that's there with this restaurant right now. It feels a lot like the calm before the storm. Like I
Oh,
will say
yeah.
that because I'm still terrified of where this is going, but everybody does seem to have, bought in. Like they're all drinking the bear juice at this point. Like they're all like, okay, we got this. We got a great menu. Carmy is telling Tina, oh, I never asked for the knife back. And it's everybody's got like these little
Oh, I
moments that
know.
just remind him of how much they all care about each other. And that's wonderful. But it's like it's one thing to be prepared for everything now and feel like it's all gonna go great. But then you're doing the most challenging menu any of these people have ever done.
Yep.
This is a very, very tense environment. You're going to have people there who like you, but are probably still going to be really choosy. And especially here for, you know, our guy, our beloved cousin, who has done so much to better himself as of late. And I hope that Richie can keep this sort of persona to keep this
Mhm.
new suit guy self. But the problem I have with him is that he's going to be the front facing dealing with all of this
Mhm.
nonsense directly. His tone is going to impact Carmy's tone. It's going to impact everybody's tone. Like if he
Yep.
falls, they all fall.
It's crazy that the first time we saw Richie trying to deal with this restaurant, he was outside with a gun.
Yeah.
And now he's here in a suit and he's really turned it around for himself,
Yeah.
for the restaurant, for Carmy. And I think that that's why this episode really, he came sort of face to face with what is it he really wants, because he's
Mhm.
not balancing things with Claire and with everything that's going on. Like we've seen that as he's getting more and more and more stressed and things are just piling on top of him, he's like trying to reach that happy place that he thinks is Claire, where he's trying to
Mhm.
think of her and think of her. But what ends up being the thing that brings him back is Sydney and his relationship with her, friendship with her, respect with her. And that it really is, everyone's like, you're kind of dropping the ball here at the restaurant. Like, good for you. You have a girlfriend. Okay, cool. But we're all here, we're all present. Things that you are saying that you want to have like final say on, like
Mhm.
where the pots go. Oh, why is everything over here on the left? Because you said you wanted final say and you're not here. Oh, what's going on with the fridge guy? You're not here. And that's sort of it, is he is just not present where he needs to be because he is putting too much into the relationship when he has all of these relationships of people that are depending on him, that care for him, that are there for him, even if he's not present. They're like, we haven't left you. We're still here for you. And that's why that scene with the phone where
Yeah.
he's like, okay, I am here. I am present. I'm going to call the fridge guy. And Claire calls. And it's just that moment of like, do I take Claire's call or do I keep calling the fridge guy? And I kind of wish that they had had to make a choice
Mhm.
instead of somebody else come in. But, you know, it's building dramatic, you know, tension here. Who's he going to be there for?
I feel like this, that if he knew that Claire was the one, like that Claire was the person he was meant to be with, marry, spend the rest of his life with, he would have picked up the phone immediately and just been like, "Hey, I'm really busy. I'll call you back. Love you. Bye." Like
Yep.
it would have been, it's not something that would have taken a lot of time off of his plate to do that. But like one of the things that I've been saying these past few videos is just that I think this Claire story is a lot about Carmy realizing, you know, what it is that he really wants. And he has to figure out for himself that, okay, you know, I do really like Claire. I care about Claire, but is Claire actually the thing that's going to fulfill me the most at the end of my life? And I don't think that it is. And I
Yeah.
think this episode is really him flipping that switch a little bit and being like, oh, you know, I don't know if being in the restaurant makes me happy all the time. Like I can't really say that, but I know that Claire in my heart is not really the thing. And I'm gonna have to find a way to move forward at some point. I'm not saying like she's gonna show up in the finale and he's like, I'm breaking up with her. Like maybe that will happen, but I do think we're on the road to that.
I think that he's on a road to realizing that, you know, when he was like, oh, I had to Google fun or Google, you know, enjoyment kind of thing, like, and that he hasn't really felt that out of his job. Like he is good at his job and he does his job, but there's been a lot of stress and misery that's come from his job that I think, you know, he was putting it into Claire to be like, okay, well, if I can't get that out of my job, then maybe I can get that away from my job.
Hmm.
Lots of people are in that spot where it's like, yeah, I don't like my job, whatever. But this is a different situation with his
Hmm.
job that he just wasn't open to. And he wasn't opening his mind or his heart to this actually being something that's enjoyable, that could be fun, that isn't just about success or failure or feeling bad about something, that he's got a really good group of people that not only believe in him, but have changed in a lot of positive ways because of him and support him, whether he's dropping the ball or not. That he, I think, with that conversation at the under the table with
Yeah.
Sydney was really that tipping point where he opened up his own heart and his own mind to the idea that this restaurant can bring him enjoyment.
Yeah, I think he's starting to really realize it. It doesn't have to be within him. He doesn't have to bottle everything up. He can let it all out and they can all carry a part of it together. Like it's the power of teamwork. And I wish everything was just going to be so sunshiny and happy on the other side of this, but there's like these two conflicting emotions going on in this episode. There's all this warmth that's going on, especially with that under the table scene. And then you have Cicero, who is the most pessimistic person who has possibly ever lived, whose just reaction to Carmi even saying he has a girlfriend is just like,
Uh-oh.
which Oliver, I know Oliver Platt was not in the kitchen, but Oliver Platt was cooking in this episode. I'll tell you that much. But you have these two different sort of philosophies that are just battling each other out. And there is that question as to what's going to win out. I think the truth is going to lie somewhere in the middle. But I do think that Carmi is entering this big opening night of the restaurant in the right place. Like that's all he can really ask for.
Yeah, and he needs to be present because we saw that scene with Richie and Sugar where he was like, listen, you know, we're booked for the first week. It's less the next week. We don't really have too
Yeah.
much of a waiting list. So, yeah, that's where we are, kind of thing. If Carmi isn't present
Yeah.
and everybody working to get butts in those seats, like it's really going to fall apart.
Yeah, like this has to be, and I know you go for good food, you go for excellent service, you go
Sure,
for a
yes.
great vibe.
Yeah.
Restaurants are experience business, and if you have an amazing experience, it's like nothing you've ever had before. You know, people will spend the money. People will
Yep.
find a way. They'll come from out of state. Like they'll spread the word of mouth. Yeah, you can get a good restaurant review. Yeah, you can get like featured in some YouTube video or something like that, which by the way, the bear, if you guys want to bring us to come and taste your food, like, okay, I know you're fictional. I'm just saying the food looks really good,
Oh
but
my goodness, is it ever?
no, but like it is a situation where the pressure is on a very specific moment. And the only way that this restaurant is going to succeed is if they provide an experience that's above and beyond every other Chicago restaurant. I know a lot of them are shutting down, but this is still Chicago. There are a lot of places people can go to eat.
Okay, so you brought up pressure, and there is a lot of pressure right
Yeah.
now, and everybody's, under a lot of stress. Was this really the best time for Marcus to ask out Sydney? Like, I think we all kind of knew it was kind of coming. I
Yeah.
mean, their friendship is great, and, they really support each other in all the right ways. But it has felt like Marcus has been interested in her for a little while. I wasn't sure if he was ever really going to make the move or not because their friendship is so good.
Mhm.
Come on. It's like you're right at opening night of Friends and Family, and then she's so stressed out, and this is the time to like throw that out there kind of thing. I'm not surprised she said no. Not that she's not necessarily interested. I don't think she is, but if he had asked her at a different time, do you think she would have been open?
I think there's a chance. Like, I think she might have at least been a little while longer thinking about it as opposed to being as dismissive as she was about it. I think the problem for Marcus here mostly is just that I don't know, for a guy like him who's probably, as you alluded to, he's been thinking about this for a while and probably has had feelings for her for a while.
Mhm.
I don't know if he knew that there was ever a right time. I think it's just one of those sort of deals where he's probably just sitting back and being like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the courage up. I'm going to get the courage. And he starts like going over there. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it right now. And he's probably done this a handful of times. And it was probably one of these spontaneous, oh, this is the moment. I'm going to do it because I've got all this other stuff coming out right now. I'm not actually going to be as stressed about this because I have more important things. So I'm just going to throw it out there. And then I've got this restaurant to distract myself if it doesn't go well.
Yeah, except it got so awkward
Yes.
after. I mean, he like walked by her while she was out there talking to everybody, and she actually turned her back like she couldn't like face what had happened. I was like, oh no, their friendship
I
is
know.
just going down the toilet.
Like, it was not the right time, but I also understand why Marcus did it at that time. And it's just sort of one of those tricky things where he now has to figure out, is there a way to repair this? And I think that there will be in time. I just think this, because of the specific timing of all of this, yeah, it's gonna be awkward for this friends and family thing. There's no way around all of that. Like, you guys have to have a little bit of time to sort of sit in your heads. And I think once they do that, they'll sort of realize, okay, was this awkward? Yes. As Marcus, do I still want to be friends with Sydney even if she rejected me? Yes. I think Sydney definitely would want to still be friends with Marcus. Like, they can get past this, and who knows down the road? Maybe things will change. I obviously want both Sydney and Marcus to be happy, and they're both good people. So
Mhm.
if they find a way to make it work, I will never say no to love.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, this show's not really about love and
Yeah.
dating and that kind of drama. I mean, I've said that I'd like to see Carmy and Sydney maybe become romantically involved down the road. And I know that those actors have both been like, that's not a thing that's going to be happening.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. If that's what you're rooting for, you're going to be rooting forever. It's not happening. But I mean, things can change. And I mean, it sounds like these two actors have a really good friendship away from this. And maybe that's part of what the chemistry is that's coming across. But the friendship between them is just, it's so good to watch.
Mhm.
And sort of I've been so frustrated with Carmy this season because he has been dropping the ball on their friendship. He doesn't know how to balance things, and we
No.
know that about him. He's either all in on something or he's not really in at all. So for me, that conversation at the table and under the table of sort of like, you've got my full focus. You deserve my full focus. I'm here. Like, I need you. You need me. I can't do this without you, and you can't do this without me. We're in it together. I was like, this is what I really have been waiting for. And I'm really glad they didn't wait until the last episode to
Yeah.
do this. I felt like I needed it before I got into the I'm assuming this last thing is going to be chaotic. Like, it's their first service. They haven't done this before. They've all just kind of got into this like ready to go. But are they prepared? I mean, Carmi even said, we're going to make mistakes. It's a first
Yeah.
service. Like, that's the whole point of this. Now's the time to make those mistakes. So let's go. Like, it is going to be chaos.
Just don't do the donut incident all over again, which, I love that the show is still even remembering the donut incident.
I
Like, it's all coming around full circle. That is the good thing about this finale. It can't be worse than that, ... right?
Who knows? I guess it depends on if Donna shows up, and if she shows up, is she going to be different? Like, we haven't seen her since that, we've only seen her in that one episode, and it was such chaos, and it's not going to be in her place. And Carmi's been back a while, and she hasn't seen him, and he hasn't seen her. It feels like maybe she's changed, or maybe she's very apprehensive about reaching out to him or seeing him. Like, I kind of wonder if she shows up there, like, is she even going to go in? Like, something feels like it has definitely changed, and she's pulled back in a lot of ways. And with Carmi not really reaching out to her, is she going to kind of be inside herself with it? I don't know.
It's going to be tricky, but that is sort of the big X factor entering the finale, is what is she going to do? Like, I think a normal service, they can probably handle okay. Not perfectly, but okay. But now you're throwing that variable in there, and oh boy.
Yeah, I was really surprised, actually, that Sugar invited her. I understand that it's friends and family, and she was like, yeah, it's friends and family. Of course, I'm going to invite mom, kind of thing. If it's almost like if we don't, we're going to pay for it forever kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, you're using this service to test. You're trying to figure out how to, how does the machine work? What are the problems that we're going to need to fix for actual service? Like, this is friends and family, so if we make mistakes, it's okay. But then you throw Donna in there, and we've only seen her at that one period of time, and it was such chaos, butter all over her hands, sauce on the ceiling, crying, like driving a car through like, it's like, how does that X factor come into play when you're really trying to like get your machine working?
Sugar should have talked to Carmi about it beforehand and just been like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Other than just like, oh yeah, this is happening. Because I don't think it's a bad move by the show to make, because I think this is something that would happen. But I question if it was the right move for her. I'll just say that. All right, well, that's all we got here on The Bear, Season 2, Episode 9. The finale is right around the corner. Hit that subscribe button so you guys do not miss that. Thank you to our patrons for your support.
Thank you.
And we'll see you here next time.